to do a perfect dive. My name is Riley Kalb, and I've been swimming since I was about 3 years old, and I've been on swim teams since I was 9. And just last year I started coaching, so I think this will be a fun time teaching you all how to do a dive. Let's get started. Okay, first things first, we have to master how to put our hands together so we can enter the water with our hands first. Most people can't dive because they're not comfortable entering with their hands, followed by their head, followed by their feet into the water. So the first thing we have to do is set our hands. We're going to stack one hand on top of the other. I always do right because I'm right-handed. And then I wrap that thumb of the top hand over the left hand. Okay, so now that we have our hands set, we're going to put our arms straight, and then we'll lift them above our head straight like this. Make sure you tuck your chin so you can be totally tight entering the water. When you want to start off doing a dive, you can't just start jumping in the water or just trying to do what everyone else does. You need to take it in steps. So the easiest way to start is by sitting straight up, legs in the water, and having your hands stacked like each other, on top of each other like we talked about. Raising your arms, and then you'll just bend over and do a baby dive just to practice the feeling of getting your hands to go in first. So it'll look something like this. Not graceful at all, just that's the start. Okay, so now I'll do it again just so you guys can see the baby dive once more. We're sitting straight up, arms straight, and we're going to bend over. And that's the baby dive. Okay, so the next part we have to practice is a little bit bigger than the baby dive once you have that mastered. The baby dive's pretty easy since you're just like falling in basically. The next step is the more advanced way of falling in. I don't really have a name for it. It's kind of the toddler way, I guess you could do. And you'll just basically start on your knees, and then I'll demonstrate how to do that. So the next time we're doing starts on our knees, and it's kind of the same way of doing the baby dive. We're going to have our arms straight, hands raised, perfectly tight in this way. It's called streamline, is when you're all tight like this and your hands are stacked. And from this way, we'll bend over at our hips, and at our hips, then we'll fall in from our knees. So it'll look something like this. And that's the next step to learning the perfect dive. Okay, so now that we've accomplished both of our smaller intermediate dives, we'll work up to actually standing and doing a real dive. So from here, you'll curl your toes over the edge of the pool, and you'll raise your hands into that streamline position that we talked about. Straight, perfect, tight streamline. And we'll curl our toes over the edge to provide stability for us. And then we'll bend over at the hips and just fall in from here. So I'll demonstrate that. And as you notice, I didn't jump at all. I just basically fell in. And that is one of the things you have to practice, just learning how to get your hands comfortable going in first as opposed to your feet or your stomach. Now that we're perfectly great at falling in without jumping, we need to add the jump in. So to work on that, we're just going to go to a straight streamline. So we're going to stand all the way up and tight with our hands locked and our body completely stretched out. And from there, we'll come to the edge of the pool, we'll curl our toes over the edge just like we did in our falling one, and then we'll just jump straight in with our legs to get used to using our leg muscles to jump off the wall like we would when we were going to do an actual dive. So it'll look something like this. We'll go in the streamline and then jump in high. Notice I kept my feet together and my toes pointed so I could go all the way to the bottom. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is occupy our legs once again. So we'll be using both of the techniques that we used in the dives earlier, combining them to finally jump off the wall into the water. Okay, so now we're finally to the last step to becoming a perfect diver. We are going to be on the actual diving board we're diving on into the water by using all the skills that we have learned, using our legs, using that perfect streamline, and just finally putting it all together. You can dive off the side. You can dive off the diving board. Or you can dive off the block like a swimmer on a swim team. So now that we've learned how to do all the steps to complete our perfect dive, using all the way from the mini dive to the full out jumping dive on a diving board, you guys can now implement those skills to create your own perfect dive and be able to enter the pool like a pro.